Hi, I'm Joe, and I'm a hikeaholic.
I'm Ray. I too am a hikeaholic.
We like to hike. A lot. A lot.
We need help.
Here goes Ray.
In spite of the fact that there's 30 years between us, I'm 66 right now, he's 36, Joe is sort of an old soul, and everything from music, our outlook on life, is very similar. And we just have, I can't tell you that we've never had a bad time out in the woods and up in the mountains together.
There you go. You know, Ray, we're on a mission. A mission from God. Putting the band back together. We're like two children. Like, we've never grown up. You know, he's 30 years older than me, I'm 30 years younger than him. We both act like we're 10, 11, 12 most of the time, maybe 5 or 6 sometimes, but we laugh at the same jokes. We think the same thing's funny. Like, we love we both love Seinfeld, we love The Office. Like, we love that kind of comic humor. We listen to the same music. We love the same, alternative rock, classic rock stuff for that. So, I mean, when he's like getting up, yeah, I got this idea. Let's stage this photo. Let's do this video. Like, it's a good idea. So usually our joke is, Jerry, that's gold, Jerry, that's gold. For that Banya, but for that. So, I mean, he'll come up with something like, let's do that. I'm like, all right. And I'll come up, let's do that. He's like, that's genius, And we're the only two that laugh at it. We're the only two who think it's genius.
It's a really special bond that they share that has really stood the test of a number of years. And I think it's really rare for somebody to find that. And it's really sweet to watch, actually.
About 12 years now.
Yeah, about a dozen years ago, we both signed up for a group hike with the Adirondacks Mountain Club.
It was like 4:45 in the morning. It was dark. It was a dark parking lot.
There's a spot in Queensbury where everybody congregates, so you take as few cars up to the high peaks as possible, and Joe just happened to hop in my car. First time out, we were doing the Seward Range, which is a long, tough day up in the Adirondacks. And there are some people that you just you hit it off with. And Joe and I wound up driving up to the trailhead together as part of this 80K hiking group. And we've been knocking out the trails in the mountains ever since.
We both signed up for the next group outing. That was 2 weeks later. Not like, hey, you want to sign up? It was just like he happened to sign up. I had signed up. He was like, hey, why don't you ride with me again this time? I was like, yeah, okay. So, and then we started talking more.
I don't believe in coincidence anymore. Things just happen by fate.
Mm-hmm.
There was an older woman who told me a number of years ago, there are no such things as coincidences, just small miracles for which God has not been given credit. So, call it a small miracle. We wound up in the same car together, spending the whole day together, and gosh, I don't know how many miles and mountains and car rides since.
Ever since?
A whole bunch.
But every time you end the day, it's always that kind of Ray handshake. So at an angle, like, hey, pleasure meeting you, Joe. We'll do this again sometime. Maybe we'll see you on the next hike. It's been a while since I've worn a microphone.
Yeah.
I will not miss putting on snowshoes. This has been probably the most consistent winter that we've used snowshoes on every hike. Over the last 5, 6, 7 years, however long we've been winter hiking for, the weather patterns are just changing. We have times when we are in snowshoes, but a lot of times we're in microspikes. There's just not enough snow, or things just melt and come back later. It's been a pretty consistent snowy winter.
So I carry this in my pack wherever I go. It's like my good luck charm. In 2012, two of our close hiking friends and I went over to Tanzania to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. And so I pulled this thing out to show it to our guide, Protus Mayunga. And he asked me, he says, "What's his name?" I said, "I don't know, he doesn't have a name." And he said, "Call him Kifaru," which is rhinoceros in Swahili, and because he's strong like a rhino.
And if you guys want to see, this is bandana. Got him at Walmart. Cost me 99 cents. I call him Bandy. Bring him on every hike with me, in case I get a little sweaty or want to blow my nose. So.
I think Joe and Ray have a great relationship. I think it's awesome. I'm happy that he has Joe to go hiking with. They just have a lot of fun. They both enjoy everything the same. They have the same sense of humor. They have the same. So it's really been wonderful. Really been wonderful.
We've climbed over 400 individual mountains each. It's cool to go back and repeat mountains, but we don't need to have our footsteps going over that same trail again. Granted, every time it's a different experience, but it's no, let's go find something new. We don't need to retrample that old one.
Well, we're working on a group of mountains in New Hampshire called the 52 with a View. We've got 50 of them done, and we're saving the last 2 for springtime. Then after that, what's our next list, Joe?
We're third of the way through the Vermont Long Trail, doing end to end. Not overnight, when people do the Long Trail, they typically hey, take 3 or 4 weeks off and go hike it straight through. We're just doing section hiking it.
Yeah.
So kind of working along that in the way. There's a bunch of other lists out there and patches and challenges people do. I know we had talked about the Cranberry Lake 50 a while back, probably section hiking that. I know you're working with Mary, with her on her fire towers.
With Ray, that's his life. I mean, when he is stressed out or anything, he goes into the woods and he just comes out so refreshed. Just being outside and being in the fresh air and the trees and nature and everything else, I think it just brightens your day and just brings you energy.
The thing I like best about morning hikes, especially real early morning hikes, is the quiet, the solitude. I don't think there's any better way to start a day than getting out here in the woods or getting up on a mountain.
Yeah, see that first ray of sun coming through the trees. Don't have to worry about a parking spot.
Yeah.
And then it's the solitude and the quiet.
This is my primary source of exercise these days, is getting out in the mountains, on the trails. It became a substitute for running when my joints started giving me problems, but I never feel a lick of discomfort out here. There's something soothing and calming about being out here in the woods.
Well, hiking is Joe's outlet. Hiking is where he tends to be most at peace. It's almost like a moving meditation for him.
It's one of the ways I identify myself as a hiker. Someone who likes to hike. If I didn't have it, who knows how I'd be feeling or what I'd be doing, but I could say it is who I am. It's a part of who I am, and
Probably the most important thing I've learned from Joe is he's become my fountain of youth. There is something magical about being out with people who are younger than you are. And he's got a certain vibe and energy that I experience with him every time that we're out. And I feel like, at least from here up, I feel like I'm 36 years old, just like he is. I realize from here down, I'm 66, and sometimes at the end of a hard day, I feel it. But at least, my mind and my soul, I'm still a kid.
Knowing Ray is like knowing an onion and constantly peeling away at that onion. It's just, there's so many layers. It's like when you cut through a tree to see how many years has this tree been with all the rings. There's always something new to learn or hear. And I look up to him. He's done so many things. He's got one of the biggest hearts, is so kind about everything. And he boosts everybody up. He just talks positive about everybody.
Joe really he speaks so highly of Ray. He so values the friendship and the relationship. You know, anytime Joe is wrestling with something or wants to talk something through, right? They're both love to talk about politics and things like that. Ray is his person. Like, that's who he will. Let me talk to Ray about this. Let me get Ray's take on this.
Ray teaches me so much about the world and what I'll need to know in the next 30 years. We talk nonstop about economics and politics. I love that stuff. It's so fascinating to me, and you've had so much experience over time. And when setting up my own life insurances and retirement, and Nicole and I buying the house, like, so much valuable information from a banker, right? Mortgage banker for that. So, I mean, that's been super helpful.
I do have quite a bit more experience on the planet, than Joe does. That we'll talk about things, and I'm sure from time to time I share what's more fatherly advice, than friend or brotherly advice with Joe. And the same thing, he gives me a perspective, from a younger man's point of view, of, a way that I wouldn't have thought, about an issue.
Joe and Ray really have an incredible friendship. Like, their relationship is unlike anything I think I've witnessed in two people before. They are the same person 30 years apart in like almost any way that you could possibly imagine. Their sense of humor is the same. They just fit together.
In some ways, like, I see me as him 30 years ago too. Like, our lives are running almost a parallel trajectory, just 30 years, literally 30 years, and 30 years to 10-day difference. Like, his birthday's the 19th of April, mine's the 29th of April. So,
It's a funny thing, there's a 30-year gap, between Joe and I age-wise, but, somehow we both grew up on the same sort of music, have the same tastes. So, regardless of whether we're, on a short drive to our destination or we're, driving 6 or 7 hours out to Maine, we always have a lot of tunes that we both like to listen to.
When you see such a close friendship with that amount of age difference, I think it's kind of a perfect storm of Joe's an old soul. He really is. He'll say or do something and I'll look at him and be like, you realize you're only 36, like, what are you doing? And Ray's like a little kid. And so they just meet in this perfect kind of middle place where it just works. And I think that's so, so, so rare with like an intergenerational friendship like that.
I don't ever want to become that old, cranky, cantankerous guy. And so if I'm not in the best of moods, a phone call, a text message, whatever it is, helps me get back in the right frame of mind.
usually like a Seinfeld gif.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, a Seinfeld meme or something like that. Yeah. We find a way to laugh about almost everything. If one of us takes a fall, after that initial, gosh, is Ray okay or is Joe okay? We laugh about it. Maybe we fell in the mud. Maybe we fell in a stream. I don't think I ever saw you laugh harder than when I wrapped myself around that tree.
He's sliding down the mountain and literally tree right into the nuts. Oh my gosh, couldn't stop laughing. He spins around. I'm dying. Like, wait, don't move. I gotta take a picture of you first. Injured on the ground for posterity.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, scrambling for your phone so you can take my picture.
This is why Nicole doesn't understand why people are friends with me.
He does have a propensity. He loves moose. Like, that is his favorite animal. He has been known to run after one for a picture. So I know that at some point something is going to happen because of his propensity to do things like that.
Tri Pyramids in New Hampshire. We went out for a day, and we're coming down one of the trails there. Coming around the bend, and I just look ahead, and all of a sudden I see this brown thing there, and I'm like, what the hell is that? Like, I'm thinking like a hunter in like all brown fleece. Like, who the hell's wearing all brown fleece out here? And then all of a sudden it hits me like, holy shit! And I just like fall backwards into Ray, like I'm literally just falling down.
It's this enormous bull moose.
all of the places that he's hiked, Maine, Vermont, he has seen a moose maybe twice ever. And he is absolutely obsessed with the idea of getting a picture of one on one of his hikes.
And so Joe's in front of me, and sees the moose first. Now, conventional wisdom tells you is make yourself as big as possible so that, you're sort of intimidating the moose. You reach your arms and your poles out, and that you back away slowly. The two of us go, oh shit, a moose. And we go scrambling for our cameras.
Reaching to try to grab my camera out of the top of my pack and everything.
And the moose takes off on us, and we're running after the moose. So we got one picture, and I caught a photo of half of Joe's back and half of the moose's ass as he's running away from us. That's as good a shot as we got.
Thankfully, the moose turned around and went the other way. But instead of staying where he was, as you were told to do, he didn't have his camera out in time, and so felt the need to then take off running after said moose. But yes, he got very, very lucky with that one.
The upside to being out there and and hiking, being out in nature, is probably primarily threefold for me. It's good for the body, helps keep me in shape, helps keep me young physically. It's good for the mind. When you're out there, no cell phones, no iPads, no computers, no televisions, nothing electronic. I don't believe in electronics in the woods. So it's a total escape. And then the other thing is it's good for the soul. So I'm fond of saying, for the mind, for the body, for the soul, there is no place better to be than out in the wilderness or up in the mountains.
The mountains and nature and our adventures and time spent on the trail has really just forged our friendship and brought us together.
Yeah, and it became infectious. Where there's really a week now. In fact, I said to Joe around the trail earlier today, hey, we didn't get out last weekend together, and because circumstances didn't allow it. And I was like, you know what? I really missed, not sharing a trail, with Joe for the past 7 days.
For him, hiking puts it all in perspective, right? It's very easy in kind of your day-to-day life to feel like every single thing that happens, every problem is huge, right? But when you're on the peak of a mountain in the Adirondacks, you suddenly feel very small. And I think it provides the perspective of there are bigger things than me. There are bigger things than what I'm going through. There are bigger, more important things. And hiking provides that perspective on a regular basis. And it is probably the most important outlet. Yes, he still runs and he still does all of that. But hiking is probably the most important outlet that he has.
We've climbed probably 40, 45 different fire tower mountains. We're getting up to the top of that tower is sometimes a challenge.
Yeah. I've only been to the top of 2 of them ever, so I don't like heights. So for that, maybe I'll go up like, 2 landings, maybe 3, but I usually don't go that much higher.
Yeah. And it always struck me as odd because, we've walked on the edges of cliffs where there's drop-offs that, are a couple of 100 feet. Been on some ridge lines that are pretty scary. But it must be something about just having your feet on the ground, right?
Yeah, my feet are touching the ground. I'm here, I am safe, but that's not the ground. That's man-made structure. That thing can just fall right over. Hi, camera. I'm Joe. I didn't go all the way up because it's too high.
There's a certain exhilaration about getting to that last mountain on the list, whether it's the 46 high peaks, the Northeast 115. There's a little bit of sadness too, because that portion of that goal is done, and that's why we quickly pick up where we left off with with another goal, another mission ahead of us.
When we get done with a hike and we get home and, take off my bags, take a shower and stuff, to me it's, all right, when's the next hike? When are we getting back out there? Already, it's Saturday or Sunday, we're getting home. It's like, all right, which day are we going out next week? What's the 10-day forecast look like? What's the weather gonna be? When can we be out there again?
Sometimes it's a seasonal challenge that we chase after. So, after we did the 46 high peaks, we said, we ought to be winter 46ers. So we went back as many times as we needed to get those mountains. And you have to climb them between December 21st and March 31st.
20th, 21st.
Or 21st.
Yeah. Wintertime.
Yeah, the official winter season.
And we did that with the fire towers, the Adirondack fire towers, the Saranac 6, Lake George 12. So we did that with a few of them, the smaller ones.
I've introduced a lot of people to hiking, and some people like to do some of the crazy stuff, that Joe and I typically do. But for most people, even to take a walk for an hour in one of the local preserves, like the Wilton Wildlife Preserve or the Vischer Ferry Preserve, there's so many trails, so many opportunities around here to just get people started on. And invariably, no matter who tries it, they just love it. So no matter your fitness level, no matter the amount of time that you can devote to it, you don't need a lot of fancy equipment, a decent pair of walking shoes, that's about it. But it's like magic out there, and I think most people find it that way.
Yeah, I mean, 90-95% of the mountains I've hiked or trails I've been on has been with Ray. So, one of the people I trust my life with.
A few years ago, Joe and I were headed up to the Adirondacks to do a series of mountains in the dead of winter. It was in the month of February. And the forecast for this particular day was for the skies to be clear. But up in the mountains, you just never know. So on our way to the first mountain, which was Sawteeth, it started snowing some. And as we got up higher and higher towards the summit, it started snowing a little bit heavier. And then we were heading over to another mountain called Gothics, and from there, Armstrong, and then Upper and Lower Wolfjaw. On our way from Sawteeth over the Gothics, it was full-blown blizzard kind of weather. The wind's howling. I mean, it's blowing so hard and so loud that you have to scream at each other to be heard. The snow is piling up so quickly you can almost see it. And we were really struggling at this point. But we managed to get to the summit of Gothics, and we were just below the summit. And I turned to Joe at one point, and Joe said, "Ray, I got a question." I said, "What is it?" He said, "Are we going to die today?" I said, "I don't think anybody's dying today, Joe." So we had to bail on the other 3 mountains we were planning on getting to, and we even struggled to find a way out. We had mapped out a bailout trail in case things got ugly, but the snow was so deep, visibility was so poor, we couldn't find the trail. So we started just bushwhacking our way down the mountain and sort of mentally making plans about what if we got to spend the night? What if the rangers have to come and fetch us? And after several hours, it was like a miracle. We saw this little blue disc on a tree, and we knew that we found our bailout trail, and we were able to get home. My poor wife, because we were hours and hours behind schedule, she was worried, and I think she was on the cusp of calling the rangers to come and fetch us. But we did manage to make it back and have a good story to tell. And that's what it's really all about. Those tough days, those special days, at least you come away with a good story to tell.
With the time we were in the blizzard, we get down to the bottom of the mountain after almost dying, and he falls over laughing in the trail. I'm like, what the hell is so fun? Like, I'm tired as balls. Let's get to the freaking car. Like, come on. Like, it's been a long day. I thought we were going to die. And he just won't stop laughing. What are you laughing about? We were back on the peak, and you said, F the alpine vegetation. You didn't care. You should really care about that more. It's very important stuff. What are you even laughing at? Like, for that. But just, it's those experiences. So it's the memories, the experiences that I enjoy most.
Yeah, we keep track of our mountains. We know we got over 400 different mountains done together. There's always another list. There's always another peak. We're going to be at this for a really long time. I figure I'll be doing this until I'm at least 100 years old. So, I've got a few more decades in me.
There's this beautiful backyard we have, called the Adirondacks, called the Green Mountains, called the White Mountains, called the Catskills.
I often say, so many mountains, so little time.
He is able to think about nothing else than where his foot is landing, where the next mile, marker is on a tree.
The things that I enjoy about hiking, whether it's in the Adirondacks or any place up through the Northeast, is there's always a lot of variety. There are very arduous trips that we go on, some that are easier. The combination of closed summits, open summits, rocky trails, streams, lakes, ponds, the wildlife. I mean, there's just no shortage of new experiences that you can have by traveling all over, the Adirondacks, the Appalachian Mountains, heading up into the most desolate areas of Maine. It's an incredible experience no matter where you go, and no two places are alike.
Want to go back to Maine, to Mount Katahdin, Baxter State Park, and hike across the Nice Edge.
Yeah.
So come up from Chimney Pond there,
Yeah.
I think, come up on the east side, and then come across the Nice Edge to get up to the peak.
Yeah.
Because we didn't do that when we were up there.
No.
And that's one of those fine line adventures there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of the most unique pieces of geology in the Northeast, and it's a little scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
Your mind is constantly going, you're constantly thinking, you're constantly planning. Hiking takes that away. It forces a slowdown. It forces him to let go of everything else.
Ray, you go first. I want to see if I'm right. There's 2 mountains I think
Yeah.
you're going to say that
Yeah.
you want to do bucket list with me.
Yeah. So on my broader bucket list is to get to the highest point in each of the 50 states. I've got 15 of them knocked out. In the next month, I'll have at least a couple more. And I'm saving Mount Rainier and Denali for last. And so if I could drag Joe to 2, maybe crossing that fine line between bold and stupid adventures, that'd be the 2. The relationship that Joe and I have is very special. Joe has a circle of friends, I have a circle of friends, that are not connected in any way. But there's something about, I don't know, call it his vibe, his spirit, his enthusiasm, that I find infectious. And whenever I'm around the guy, whether he's intentionally sharing it with me or not, I'm feeling it. So that when we're out on the trails, when we're up in the mountains, he's not the only 33-year-old that's out there. I'm out there too. I feel every bit as young as he does when we're out there. And we just have so much fun, so many laughs. One thing I'll say is somewhat philosophical. There's a statesman and philosopher, Johann Goethe, that said, whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. And gosh, we've been out on 400 different mountains together. And I can't recall an instance where we didn't have at least a little bit of magic, right?
Yeah, especially along the AT.
Gosh, what's next for us?
I got it, Ray.
What?
I think we should have a below average day.
No, there is no day where you and I spend out in the wilderness or up on a mountain that will ever be in a below average day. They are all above average days.
What that guy said. I think a warm shower is next for me. Pretty freaking cold sitting on this rock. Freezing my ass off. My arse is frozen. Scene 3, take 1, raise above average day.
No ordinary Joe. Scene 1, take 1.
Action, action, we want action.
And that is how it's done.
ACTION.
Choo-choo! Mary O'Connor interview. Take 1, scene 1. Action.
Scene 1, take 1, Nicole interview.
That was perfect. Thank you.
Joe and I are so excited about this project that we are beside ourselves. We were just sitting down there, while our better halves were being interviewed, talking about which film festivals, how we're going to help promote it, who we can tell about it, avenues to share it.
Look at me. I'm in the U.S. I'm in Canada. I'm in the U.S. I'm in Canada. Now I'm straddling the border between the U.S. and Canada.
This is very cool. This is very cool.
This is the real deal.
Yeah.
Guinness mas machos! I'm glad you had those answers. Yeah. I've had an hour to think about this and I didn't come with any. One, two, three.
And
That's
Rat. These look like moose tracks, Joe.
These are moose tracks, Ray.
Ooh, what's that?
That looks like some moose scat there, Ray.
Yeah, it sure does. You know, I don't know. It looks like it's fairly fresh.
That looks like it's probably a couple days old.
You think so?
Well, one way to find out.
Yeah. Got to do a taste test.
A little hard.
Yeah. Let's see. 13 hours.
That's at least an 18 to 24 hour. Froze a little bit.
All right, we'll go with that.